I want you to tell me in the comments where you've visited in the UK and what you think about the UK. If you have any favorite destinations, or on the other hand, have you visited any places in the United Kingdom that you weren't very keen on? Because, like every single country in the world, there are good places to visit and bad places to visit. Hello, people, and welcome back once again to British English Pod with me, Lewis, and my trusty ally, a little cup of espresso. So, yes, I've just had my morning classes and I've just had lunch, so I'm feeling a little bit sleepy. Maybe I need a perk up. So I hope this coffee perks me up. So perk up as a noun means like an energy booster. And if something perks you up, it means it gives you energy or it wakes you up. So I'm hoping this espresso will perk me up. But let me know about you. How are you today? And more importantly than anything else, tell me, have you ever visited the United Kingdom? Have you ever visited the UK? If so, which nations have you visited? I assume you've probably visited London, which, of course, is the capital of England. Maybe you've been to Edinburgh, which is the capital of Scotland. Perhaps you've been to Cardiff, which is the capital of Wales. And maybe, just maybe, you've been to Belfast, which is the capital of Northern Ireland. And these 4 countries make up the United Kingdom. But a lot of the time, people will ask me, like, Lewis, what's the difference between England, the UK, and Great Britain, for example? And it's simpler than you think. As I mentioned, England is, well, just the biggest nation of the United Kingdom. And the United Kingdom is split into 4 nations: England, Scotland, Wales, and Northern Ireland. And then Great Britain is, well, just the island. So it is England, Wales, and Scotland, excluding Northern Ireland. So Northern Ireland doesn't belong to Great Britain, but it does belong to the United Kingdom, which for some people can be a little bit of a touchy subject. It can be a little bit controversial. And to be honest, I have no strong feelings about it. I personally think that it is possible in the future that we will see a united Ireland, that the Republic of Ireland and Northern Ireland will reunite and become one country. That's my long-term prediction. Whether that will happen, we will see. Only time will tell. Let's see what's in store for us. But returning to visiting the UK, I've just come back to Brussels after being at home in my hometown near Leeds. And as you can see, I'm wearing a Leeds United top because I support Leeds United. And yeah, I've been back in England, back home with the family, the friends for a while. And that's why I thought I'd make this podcast all about the UK. Partially because I think a lot of you who are listening or watching this video and this podcast in general, a lot of you are curious about Britain, the UK, and, of course, the English language. I hope so, anyway. And if so, you are in the right place. But before I tell you some interesting facts and curiosities about my home country, I want you to tell me in the comments where you've visited in the UK and what you think about the UK. If you have any favorite destinations, or on the other hand, have you visited any places in the United Kingdom that you weren't very keen on? Because like every single country in the world, There are good places to visit and bad places to visit. There are nice cities and, well, ugly cities. I'm not going to reveal which cities I think are nice and ugly, but of course, it's a big country, a very populated country, so you're going to find a little bit of everything. So let me know in the comments, and let's kick off this podcast by going over 50 unusual, interesting, captivating facts related to the UK. And I'm going to share my screen because I found these facts online with a little help from my friend, ChatGPT, and I've put it in a PDF. So hopefully now you're going to see this PDF. Oops, from the bottom. And then I'm going to scroll down and show you each of these facts. The first 10 are related to history and politics. Let me have a little bit of coffee. And it's a beautiful day outside, so after recording this podcast, I'm probably going to go for a walk, listen to a podcast as usual, and do a little bit of sunbathing because autumn and winter are coming. All right, anyway, number 1, our first fact. The UK has had no written constitution. It relies on traditions, laws, and documents like the Magna Carta, which was written in 1215, the year 1215, which is kind of surprising for many of you because a lot of the time, Americans always talk about their constitution and how they have all of these articles and rules. But the UK, despite having founded modern United States, we don't have a written constitution. We rely on traditions, laws, and documents, at least for the time being. Number 2. Did you know that London was the first city in the world to have an underground railway system? So it was number 1, the first country and the first city to have, well, the tube, the underground. So we started something. We actually started a lot of things, but funnily enough, we're not the best at most things nowadays. But we did start a lot of these things. But yeah, London is the home of the tube, the underground. Did you know? Maybe, maybe not. Number 3. The Battle of Hastings in the year 1066, was the last successful invasion of England. So for almost 1,000 years, nobody has successfully invaded England. Come on, England! So yeah, we've managed to fight people off, defend our ground, and prevent people from successfully invading our country. Probably with a little bit of help from different friends, like America, for example. Fact number 4. Big Ben. If you've visited London, I'm sure you have seen the Big Ben, and maybe you've taken a selfie with Big Ben in the background. And a lot of people believe that Big Ben is the name of the tower, but it's not. No. The actual name of Big Ben represents the bell inside the tower. So when you hear the bell ringing, it is Big Ben moving. So the building is not called Big Ben, it is the bell, or at least originally the name was for the bell. Big Ben, the big bell. All right, now moving on to number 5. The UK's parliament is the oldest in the world that is still in operation, at least. And it was established in 1215 with Magna Carta, as I mentioned earlier, evolving into today's form. So yeah, it is the world's oldest parliament that still exists today. I don't know if it's a good parliament, but hey, at least for many, many centuries, it has done as well. Now, number 6. The Prime Minister used to be an unofficial role, and only in the early 20th century did it become an official title. So how they organized everything before, I suppose things weren't written down as much. This information wasn't documented to the same degree. And the Prime Minister, who now, the current Prime Minister, his name is Keir Starmer. And to be honest, when he was elected, I was quite excited about him becoming the Prime Minister and the leader of the country, because he's kind of centre left, and I thought he would bring a change from the Conservatives. But to be honest, a lot of people are very unhappy with Keir Starmer and the Labour government that we have at the moment. So right now, it's looking very unlikely that he will continue to be the Prime Minister for the next elections. Who knows? Maybe things can change, and I hope so. But right now, his popularity has plummeted. It has gone down and down. So people are not happy with him. Of course, people are usually not happy with their Prime Minister or their President, but he's especially unpopular at the moment. Now, number 7, this is a funny one, and it's related to Scotland. To Scotland! Did you know that Scotland's national animal is the unicorn? It's crazy, isn't it? Because it symbolizes purity and power. When this was done, why this was done exactly, I'm not sure, because a unicorn is like a fantasy animal. It doesn't exist. And a lot of the times, people have dolls of unicorns, but in Scotland, it is the national animal, the unicorn. Let me know if you knew that, because it's not the typical thing that you look up online. What is the national animal of Scotland? People don't do that. But now you know. It is the unicorn. And let's move on to number 8. And it's related to the monarchy, particular our female monarchs. So the UK has had female monarchs rule for over 130 years in total, in the place of Victoria and Elizabeth II, who both had record-breaking reigns. They reigned over the country and ruled the country for an extremely long time. Of course, Queen Elizabeth passed away just a couple of years ago, maybe 3 years now, and RIP to Queen Elizabeth. She always seemed like, she had her shit together. Because I don't know if you've seen the series The Crown, but of course, she began at a very, very young age and took over at a turbulent time, and she hasn't really put a foot wrong. In other words, she hasn't really done anything wrong. And then, her son, Charles, has now took over, and let's see what happens. But the fact is that female monarchs have ruled over England for 130 years in total. I say England, but what I really mean is the UK. Number 9. The shortest war in history was between Britain and Zanzibar in 1896, lasting a total of 38 minutes. And this is apparently the shortest war in history. I don't know what they did during these 38 minutes. Maybe there was a little fight and one of them killed the other. So then the rest of them put down their weapons. They threw in the towel and they thought, okay, enough is enough. Which seems like a responsible thing to do. Maybe more people should do this. Instead of going to war, they decide to put aside their differences and say, it's not worth it, guys. Let's just go home and have a nice time. Sounds like a much better idea, doesn't it? I hope certain people are listening. All right, number 10. Did you know that Stonehenge is older than the Egyptian pyramids? Did you know? And in case you don't know what Stonehenge is, it's that combination of like 10 different stones that are standing up in a circle. And it's in the southwest of England. Personally, I've never been, but it's kind of near to Bristol. And according to ChatGPT, it is older than the Egyptian pyramids, which sounds hard to believe, but hey, I'm not going to contradict ChatGPT right now. Did you know? Stonehenge. It's old. Very old. Ancient. Now that is the first topic. Now let's move on to the next one, which is related to geography and nature. So fact number 11. No matter where you are in the UK, you are never more than 70 miles from the sea. I mean, it is an island after all, so we are surrounded by water and sea. So, yeah, no matter where you are, you could be anywhere in the UK, and you're never more than 70 miles from the sea. And 70 miles is, I want to say, about 110 kilometers, something along those lines. So we're always very close to the beach. And I went to the beach just last week, and I live in the middle north of the country. And if I want to go to the west coast, it's 2 hours. If I want to go to the east coast, it's 2 hours. So it's a bit annoying that I'm right in the middle. I could be much closer. But yeah, you're never far from the sea. Beautiful island life. And number 12, this is a random one, a strange one. Did you know that there are more chickens than humans in the UK? Wow. I bet you are mind blown. So there are more chickens than humans in the UK. And in that case, think about all of the eggs in the UK. And I've also heard that in Wales, there are more sheep than humans. And we do informally have a bit of a rude nickname for Welsh people. Shh, don't tell any Welsh friends. We often call them sheep shaggers. Or at least in football world, we call them sheep shaggers. And to shag is, well, to fuck. To to make love. So we do sometimes say that Welsh people are sheep shaggers. Yeah, because there are more sheep than humans. Anyway, I'm gonna have a sip of my coffee and let's move on quickly from that. Okay, number 13. We move on. The River Thames has over 200 bridges crossing it. So the River Thames, of course, the main river in England, crosses through London. The Thames has over 200 bridges that cross it. So it's a pretty important waterway throughout the country. Now, number 14, we're moving on to Northern Ireland. And it is that the Giant's Causeway in Northern Ireland is made up of around 40,000 natural basalt columns. If you don't know the Giant's Causeway, it's this beautiful, dramatic landscape which has lots of cliffs next to the ocean. And I think they shot a lot of Game of Thrones there as well. And it's made up of lots of columns, of like stone columns, which are right on the edge of the cliff. I've never been, but interesting. Now, moving up north to Scotland again, and it is Ben Nevis. So Ben Nevis in Scotland is the UK's tallest mountain at 1,345 meters. So it's not actually that big. When you compare it to Mount Everest, which I think is almost 9,000 meters tall, ours is nothing. We have a very, very hilly country, but none of the hills actually end up being real mountains. There are lots of little hills around my town. It's always up and down. But yeah, our tallest mountain is only 1,345 meters tall. It's nothing, is it? The number 16. The UK has 15 national parks and over 7,000 miles of coastline. So, yes, the UK is kind of a crowded place. It's quite densely populated. But we do also have lovely national parks. To think of a few, I could mention the Lake District, the Peak District, the Snowdon area in Wales, and they're all beautiful. And as I mentioned, we are an island, so we have over 7,000 miles of coastline. Number 17. Did you know that there are wild parrots, specifically ring-necked parakeets, that live in London parks? So yeah, we have wild parrots. And also, if you have been to London, the last time I went, I realized and I was kind of shocked at the squirrels. Because obviously we have a lot of squirrels in the UK, but it was kind of shocking that the squirrels in London are really friendly and curious, and they're so used to having people walking around them, taking photos of them, that they don't care. They're not bothered. Whereas the squirrels in my town, as soon as you get close to them, they'll scatter away and they'll scurry away. But in London, they're very brave and they don't really care how close you are by the looks of it. Number 18. Scotland has over 790 offshore islands, but only about 290 are inhabited. If we think about the Skye Islands, the Shetland Islands, there are lots of little islands when you look at the map of Scotland, which you can kind of see behind me. Here, there are loads and loads of islands that are off the coast of Scotland, and very few people live in these areas. They're very sparsely populated, to the extent that only 290 out of 790 are actually inhabited. The rest, nobody lives there. Interesting. Now, number 17, this one truly is interesting. And it is that England has a village which is named Beer. Yes, beer like the beer that you drink. And it's in Devon, which is close to Cornwall. Again, the southwest of England, kind of where Stonehenge is. So let's go to Beer and have a beer. Whoa, that'd be amazing. I reckon a lot of people do this. A lot of people will have a look on the map, or they'll hear me suggesting that we go to Beer and think, let's go on a road trip. Let's go to Beer and drink a beer. That'd be amazing. Now, number 20. The UK once experienced a record. Let me repeat. The UK once experienced a recorded temperature of 40.3 degrees Celsius. And this is the hottest temperature ever recorded in the country, which I assume will have been in London or near to London. Because with all of the traffic and the buildings, the concrete jungle of London, temperatures do tend to be a little bit warmer than in the countryside, and London is also the southeast of the country, so it's a bit closer to the continent, so it tends to be slightly hotter. But yeah, the hottest recorded temperature was 3 years ago, and it was 40.3 degrees Celsius. Whew! And that must have been tough because in the UK, the vast majority of houses do not have air conditioning. So I hope that I never have to experience this myself. It'd be boiling, roasting, sizzling, all of those words together. Now, the next one, the next section is related to language and literature. So, number 21, English is the third most spoken native language in the world. But if we include all of the non-native English speakers, I believe it is the most spoken language in the world. And of course, it's the language of travel, of business, online. So that's why I have a job, I suppose, because many, many people are trying to improve their English and become fluent in English. But yeah, as a mother tongue, it is only the third most popular. I believe Spanish and then Chinese Mandarin are ahead of it. Number 22. There are over 40 dialects and regional accents in the UK. I made a similar podcast a few months ago going over some of the main accents and dialects in the UK, that obviously there are many, and it differs quite a lot, even between 40 kilometres. Between Manchester and Liverpool, there's a big difference, and Manchester and Liverpool are right next to each other. So that's just a little example of how many accents we have, which usually means that pronunciation changes a lot from the north to south, east to west. So there are often examples of words that are pronounced differently in the north and south. I'm thinking of either and neither, either and neither, or often and often. But that's just scratching the surface. That's just the tip of the iceberg. Now, number 23. The word alphabet comes from Greek, but the English alphabet we use today developed from Latin. So, yeah, interesting. So, our alphabet in English comes from Latin, which, if you are a Spanish, Italian, French speaker, you will be familiar with this because we share practically the same alphabet. Now, number 24. The Oxford English Dictionary is the largest English dictionary with over 600,000 words. So we have the Oxford Dictionary, the Collins Dictionary, the Cambridge Dictionary, we have Merriam-Webster as well, but the one with the greatest number of English words is, according to this information, the Oxford English Dictionary. Let me know which dictionary you use, or if you use any dictionaries in general. How about number 25? We're halfway through, and this one is related to Shakespeare. That Shakespeare invented or popularized over 1,700 English words. So he basically made them up, or he brought them into fashion. He made them popular. And such words, examples would be lonely. So lonely was a word that Shakespeare either invented or popularized, and bedazzled is another example. If you have been bedazzled, it's like you've been impressed, you've been wowed, you've been bedazzled. Now, number 26. I'm sure there will be a lot of Harry Potter fans here. And J.K. Rowling, the author of Harry Potter, was the first billionaire author. Thanks, of course, to Harry Potter. And let me know, are you a Harry Potter fan? Have you read the books? Have you watched the films? And if you've done both, which do you prefer? Reading the books or watching the films? You know, I'm not much of a reader in general, so personally, I'd have to go with the films. Now, number 27. Beatrix Potter's Peter Rabbit is the best-selling children's book of all time in the UK. Have you heard of this book? Peter Rabbit, and it was written by Beatrice Potter. It is the #1 selling children's book in the UK of all time. Interesting, I suppose. Moving swiftly on to number 28. And this is that the shortest war-related telegram ever sent from a British general contained just one word. Peccavi. And this is Latin for I have sinned. And this is a pun, a play on words, after having captured the province of Sindh in India. So he was making a pun, making a joke with Sindh, the Indian province, and I have sinned by capturing this place. Ha 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 ha. But yeah, apparently that's the shortest war-related telegram ever. Alright, now number 29. The first book printed in English was by William Caxton in 1473. That is the first book printed in English by a guy named William Caxton in 1473. And number 30. London is home to the British Library, which holds more than 170 million items. Poof. Mind-boggling. It's crazy to have so many books or items in general. But London does have a lot of museums, artifacts, exhibitions. As a result of the British Empire, of course, we colonized many areas of the world, and, well, we stole a lot of valuable things at the same time. So that happened with the National History Museum and all of these things, but maybe we also confiscated a lot of books and items to put in the British Library as well. But hey, moving on to culture and traditions. And number 31. Afternoon tea became fashionable thanks to Anna, the Duchess of Bedford, in the 1840s. If you go to different cafes, in particular in posh areas in England, in the UK in general, there are quite a lot of afternoon tea places where you can have your typical tea with cakes, with sandwiches. It's a very upmarket, posh thing to do, but it's kind of cool. And it only became popular, well, under 200 years ago by Anna, the Duchess of Bedford. Now, number 32, Morris dancing. Morris dancing is a traditional folk dance dating back to the Middle Ages. And in England, we don't have that many traditional dances, but this is one of them, Morris dancing, which is kind of similar to Irish dancing. It's different, and Irish dancing is probably better preserved than Morris dancing. But as far as I know, it's part of the same kind of theme and family. And number 33. Did you know that every year the Queen or the King sends telegrams to UK citizens who turn 100 years old? Now, I'm not sure if they're telegrams or postcards or like an actual poster, but I've seen this on a couple of documentaries that upon turning 100 years old, the King or Queen will congratulate you on your longevity for aging like a fine wine, saying, "Bravo, you made it. You are a centurion. You have turned 100 years old," and you get a telegram, postcard, poster, some little gifts from the King or Queen to, well, award you for having great genes. Something like that, I suppose. Now, number 34. The UK has an official Silly Walks Society, and this is inspired by Monty Python. Monty Python, of course, is what is it? I've forgotten the name of the thing that. Okay, so it is a comedy group, and Monty Python and the Holy Grail. That's it. That was the famous comedy, a really, really good film. So if you haven't watched it, Monty Python and the Holy Grail, check it out. And it's a comedy, so it's kind of interesting. And yeah, there is a Silly Walks Society. I must admit that I can't remember when I watched Monty Python, so my memory's a bit blurry. I'm not sure about any of it, but I suppose this is a reference to the comedy troupe, the comedy group. Now, number 35. The British national anthem, God Save the King, or God Save the Queen, is the oldest anthem still in use because it has been in use since the 18th century, like 300 years ago. God save our ba 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 da 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 da. God save our Queen, na 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 na. This is what you'll see at the beginning of a lot of sports matches, and British people are not very good at singing our national anthem. Sometimes the lyrics aren't very clear. You know, maybe some people aren't that patriotic, or some people aren't monarchs, so then they don't believe in it. So I don't know if it will continue to be our national anthem in the future, but at the moment it is God Save the King. Now, number 36. In Cornwall, there's a tradition of eating stargazy pie. And this is a fish pie with heads of fish poking out of the crust. Ugh. I've never heard of this before. I'm not from Cornwall, but I can't imagine a fish pie which has like the eyes of the fish poking out of the crust. But it would definitely put me off my food. I wouldn't want to eat it if I see the eyes of fish. I mean, if you're eating a whole fish, then it makes sense, of course. But if you're putting the little fish eyes on top of the crust, ew. It's no wonder that the UK has a poor history and reputation for food, for things like this. What a load of rubbish, hey? Okay, 37. The Wimbledon tennis tournament has been played since 1877, making it the oldest tennis competition in the world, and still one of the big four, one of the Grand Slams. We have Wimbledon, we have Roland Garros, which is in Paris, I think, the US Open, which is near New York, and the Australian Open, which is in Melbourne. And these are the four Grand Slams. But yeah, Wimbledon is the original, the oldest. Now, number 38, Guy Fawkes Night, otherwise known as Bonfire Night, commemorates the failed gunpowder plot of 1605. And this is when a guy called Guy Fawkes, had made a plan to basically destroy the Houses of Parliament, the Parliament buildings, by putting lots of gunpowder and explosives in the building. Luckily, he was caught, and he was either arrested or maybe murdered, I'm not sure. But every year in November, I think the first week of November, we have Bonfire Night, which is when you'll have bonfires in local parks. Everybody uses fireworks as well. You'll have some delicious snacks and stuff like that. And it kind of feels like the beginning of winter whenever it's Bonfire Night, because you're outside, it's dark, it's cold, it's often wet as well. And the only good thing is you can see the fireworks. It's good if you don't have a dog, anyway. Because if you have a dog, usually dogs do not like fireworks. So, personally, I feel a little bit sorry for dogs whenever you hear some fireworks outside. But anyway, number 39. pantomime is a very British tradition performed at Christmas, mixing comedy, slapstick, and audience participation. We can also shorten it and call it panto. So it's a type of play or performance, usually at Christmas, where you've got comedy, silly things happening, and the audience get involved as well. This is pantomime. But how about we move on to number 40, because this one, I like it. And it is that there are more Indian restaurants in London than in Mumbai or Delhi. London has more Indian restaurants than these mega cities in India, which has a population of, I don't know, 100 times what the population of the UK is. And I think that, well, the best Indian food and Pakistani food is in England. If you are from India or Pakistan, let me know if you think I'm absolutely making up rubbish, or if you think it could be as good in the UK, because I guess it's adapted to British palates and British tastes, but Indian food, amazing. Or Pakistani food, it is to die for. Now, moving on to the final 10 facts, we'll wrap through them quickly. 41. The London Eye is the UK's most popular paid tourist attraction. Interesting. It is this big wheel that you can get on, and you can see the River Thames, Houses of Parliament, Big Ben, and all of these emblematic buildings. And it's the most popular paid attraction. Number 42. The UK once had a law that required all men over 14 to practice archery every Sunday. And archery is bow and arrows. So, I actually heard that apparently, if you want to insult someone else using a gesture with your hands, of course you can stick your middle finger up at people, which is universal. But in the UK, you can also do this, which is middle finger and index finger. And this also means like, get lost, go away, or similar swear words. And if you do this, you're insulting the other person, but apparently it comes from the fact that back 1,000 years ago, when England was constantly in battles with France, there was a rivalry, safe to say, and apparently we would cut off the French people's index finger and middle finger, which would prevent them from using a bow and arrow. It would prevent them from doing archery. I don't know if this is true or it's just something I'm making up, but this is an insult in the UK, but it's not an insult in many other places. And I think it's related to this historical fact about archery. Again, if I'm wrong, let me know in the comments. Now, number 43. A pub in Stalybridge, which is where Jude Bellingham is from. Actually, no. I take it back. A pub in Stalybridge, Greater Manchester, holds the record for the longest pub name. The Old 13th Cheshire Astley Volunteer Rifleman Corps Inn. Whew. And the place that I mentioned where Jude Bellingham is from is called Stourbridge. So Stalybridge, Stourbridge, you can forgive me, right? And number 44. The UK also has the shortest pub name, Q Inn, in the same place, Stalybridge. Interesting. The longest and shortest pub name in the same little town. Now, number 45. Did you know that more than 300 languages are spoken in London schools? London is obviously a very, very multicultural city with people from all over the world, different walks of life, different backgrounds. And yeah, apparently over 300 languages are spoken in London schools. And number 46. In the town of Sandwich, Kent, there was once a mayor called Mr. Sandwich. The town also gave its name to the famous food. So, Sandwich is a real place, and that is why we use the name Sandwich. And this name can be used in different languages as well. You can have a sandwich. And it comes from, well, this little town in Kent. Sandwich. So we should go on a road trip. First, we should go to beer and have a beer. And then we should go to sandwich and have a sandwich. Sounds delightful, doesn't it? Now, number 47. Red phone boxes were designed by Sir Giles Gilbert Scott in 1924 and are now iconic systems and symbols. So yeah, red phone boxes that everybody has a photo next to, they were only designed literally 100 years ago. So they're a relatively new thing. And number 48. British people drink about 165 million cups of tea every day. I don't. I only really have tea when I'm back home in England. So I was drinking tea for the last 2 weeks and drinking quite a lot of tea. But now I'm back in Belgium, I only have coffee. Interesting, isn't it? But I do think that the amount of tea being drunk in the UK is decreasing, and the amount of coffee being drunk is increasing. Coffee's just tastier, I'm sorry, and it perks you up much more. Now, the final 2 facts and pieces of information. The Christmas tree in Trafalgar Square is an annual gift from Norway, thanking Britain for support during World War II. So if you've ever been to London around Christmas and you go to Trafalgar, you can think to yourself, that's a gift from Norway. What a bunch of legends. Now, number 50, this is going to be a mouthful. There's a village in Wales with one of the longest place names in the world. I'm not going to be able to pronounce it, but it looks like this. Lanfair Pegin Win Gil Gogody Chin Win Rob Willantis Siligog Gojok. Something like that. If you're not watching this podcast at the same time, have a look at how it's spelt. And imagine when you're driving into the town and you see this on the road as a sign. It won't even fit on the sign. Lanfair Pegil Win Gil Gogody Chin Win Drob Willan. Who knows? It's a mystery. I don't know. But there we have it, guys. That is the latest podcast of 50 different English facts related to, well, the United Kingdom in general. Some of them I think are interesting. Some of them are a little bit boring. But I'm sure you've learned at least 2 or 3 things during this podcast. And, well, I hope you enjoy this podcast. If so, don't forget to like and subscribe and check out every single episode. And if you are interested in joining my classes, I'll leave a link in the description. And for a limited time only, I'm now offering 1 week free trial in the British English Immersion Club. So you can check out one class, see if you like it, before deciding if you want to continue paying the monthly subscription. My words are all over the place, but I'm not going to edit that out. So I apologize in advance. And thank you once again. I'll see you in the next podcast. And have a wonderful day. Bye-bye.